In a heart-stopping moment, a single dad and CEO stumbles upon a bride, trapped and chained inside a blazing car. The unfolding events will leave you breathless. As dusk fell, the orange glow of the setting sun spilled across the sky, casting elongated shadows that danced over the winding road, which meandered through the dense woods at the city's edge. Ethan Grant, a 38-year-old tech CEO known for his sharp intellect and icy demeanor, navigated the streets in his sleek black SUV, the weight of the day pressing down on him as he made his way home from daycare. In the back seat, his 5-year-old daughter Lily swayed gently, her soft hum weaving through the air like a delicate thread. The faint shimmer of her pink tulle caught the dim light, casting a magical glow that danced with her every movement. Just 10 minutes away from the safety of their gated neighborhood, Ethan's instincts kicked in, and he slammed on the brakes. In the distance, just beyond the roadside, flames danced wildly among the trees, casting an eerie glow in the twilight. Smoke twisted and spiraled into the sky, dense and dark, shrouding the last rays of sunlight in a haunting embrace. He eased off the accelerator, narrowing his eyes as he peered through the windshield. A silver sedan lay crumpled in the ditch, its metallic sheen dulled by the dirt and debris surrounding it. The front end lay crumpled, resembling a discarded piece of paper, flames licking hungrily at its charred remains. Lily inquired, her voice barely above a whisper, filled with curiosity. Ethan slammed the brakes, his heart racing wildly in his chest. Remain in the vehicle, Lily. Secure the doors tightly. Stay perfectly still. The moment he crossed the threshold, the heat slammed into him, an oppressive force that enveloped his senses. The flames surged, ravenously climbing the hood of the car, inching ever closer to the windshield. The air was thick with the acrid scent of gasoline, the sharp tang of metal, and an undercurrent of something far more sinister, something that sent chills down the spine. In that moment, a sound pierced the silence, a voice, barely a whisper, filled with urgency and desperation. Assistance needed. Desperation clawed at her throat as she cried out, "Help me!" A sound echoed from the depths of the car. Ethan's heart raced, pounding against his chest like a drum, each beat echoing the urgency of the moment. He dashed toward the driver's side, heart racing, only to find the door mangled and caved in from the violent impact. He ducked low, his heart pounding as he peered through the jagged shards of glass, and what he beheld sent a chill racing down his spine, rooting him to the spot. Inside the car, a woman lay slumped against the seat, her breath shallow and the air thick with tension. Her long brown hair lay in disarray, singed and tangled, a testament to the chaos that had unfolded. Her face was painted with crimson, her eyes sealed shut in darkness. She stood there in a white wedding dress, its once pristine fabric now torn and soiled, the hem singed as if it had brushed against flames. Yet, that was not what sent a chill down Ethan's spine. She found herself bound, the cold metal of the chains biting into her wrists, tethered to the steering wheel as if her fate was sealed in that very moment. A heavy iron chain coiled tightly around her torso, the wheel held captive by a rusted lock that whispered of forgotten secrets. Her wrists were shackled, her body teetering on the brink of collapse, as if someone had crafted a chilling scene meant for no eyes but the shadows. Desperation clawed at her throat as she cried out, "Help, please!" The voice whispered once more, a faint echo in the shadows. She clung to consciousness, teetering on the edge of existence, but the darkness loomed ever closer. In a split second, Ethan seized a broken branch and smashed the remaining shards of the driver's window, the sound echoing in the tense silence. Shards of glass scattered around him as he plunged his hand into the chaos, desperately searching for the lock, fighting against the restraints that bound him. The oppressive heat enveloped her, a relentless force as the fire slithered its way across the dashboard, the flames licking dangerously close to the hem of her gown. Hey, stay with me," Ethan shouted, his voice strained as he coughed violently. "I'll make sure you escape, I promise. Hold on, just a little longer." Her eyelids danced with a delicate tremor. In that agonizing moment, her gaze locked onto his, and Ethan would forever be haunted by the terror that flickered in her eyes. They were vast and green, brimming with an indescribable terror and anguish that seemed to pulse with life. "Please, they'll end my life. They'll come for me," she gasped, her voice trembling with fear. "They must not take me back." In an instant she crumpled to the ground, her head bowing forward as darkness enveloped her. No! Ethan shouted, his voice echoing with desperation. Keep your eyes open, don't drift away. With a swift motion, he plunged his hand into his back pocket, retrieving the pocket knife with a sense of urgency. The blade glinted in the dim light as he pressed it against the strap binding her wrist, the tension in the air palpable as he began to saw through the restraints. The metal chain held an unyielding grip, its strength palpable in the air. He shifted, sweat cascading down his face, the flames licking at his arms as he leaned deeper into the inferno. Lily's screams pierced the air from the SUV behind him, a chilling reminder of the chaos unfolding. The fire roared with an insatiable hunger, its flames dancing wildly in the night, casting flickering shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of the darkness around. With a fierce grunt, he steeled himself and heaved with every ounce of his strength. A sudden shift occurred. The chain binding her chest shattered, its weld giving way with a sharp crack. Just enough to keep the tension alive, to linger in the shadows of uncertainty. With a surge of frantic energy, he plunged his hands beneath her arms and pulled with all the desperation that remained within him. As the dashboard exploded in a fiery eruption, her body was propelled free, caught in the chaos of the moment. Ethan staggered backward, pulling her onto the drenched grass, his body a protective barrier against the night as a thunderous explosion shattered the silence. A blinding fireball erupted as the car detonated, hurling a torrent of heat and shrapnel high into the sky. Shocked, winded, and coated in ash, Ethan lay there for a moment, his heart pounding against the still form of the woman beside him. Lily's voice pierced the air, calling out his name from within the confines of the car. In the distance, sirens wailed, their haunting cries slicing through the night air. A call had been made, shattering the silence of the night. Ethan gazed down at the woman cradled in his arms, her breath a whisper against the chaos surrounding them. Her face was ghostly, lips quivering as they clung to the last whispers of breath. He leaned closer, his voice a soft murmur. "You're okay now. I freed you from your chains. You're safe now." Yet he understood, no matter the torment she had escaped, this was merely the dawn of her ordeal. The hospital pulsated with the harsh glare of fluorescent lights, the hurried footsteps of nurses echoing through the sterile halls, and the sharp metallic tang of antiseptic hanging heavily in the air. Ethan paced anxiously outside the emergency room doors, his arms crossed tightly over his chest, remnants of soot still darkening his hands and shirt, a stark reminder of the chaos he had just escaped. She lay there, a fragile figure amidst the chaos, her breath shallow and her identity a mystery. He had rescued her from the twisted metal, but now as darkness enveloped them both, the question lingered. Who was she? Only the remnants of a charred wedding dress hung in those chains, a haunting reminder of what once was. No ID, no phone, no purse, just emptiness and echoes of a lost past. Two officers lingered close by, their voices low and urgent as they conferred with the attending nurse. A stern-looking detective named Harlan stepped forward, his gaze fixed intently on Ethan. "So, you were the one who discovered her?" he inquired. Ethan gave a solemn nod, the weight of unspoken thoughts hanging in the air around him. Indeed. Trapped within the searing confines of a burning car, she felt the chains binding her tighten with every flicker of flame that danced around her. "I knew I had to free her from the shadows that held her captive. Do you truly not know who she is?" "No. She was a stranger to me, a ghost from a world I had yet to explore." Harlan scrutinized him intently. The vehicle stood ominously, its surface gleaming under the dim light. Yet it bore no trace of a license plate, an unsettling absence that hinted at secrets lurking beneath its exterior. Seared away completely. "Did she really tell you that someone was out to end her life?" Ethan nodded once more, his jaw clenched in a silent battle of resolve. "They'll come for me," she whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "Don't let them take me back." And then darkness enveloped her as she collapsed, the world fading away in an instant. Harlan locked eyes with his partner, a silent understanding passing between them. It could be a sinister case of trafficking, or perhaps a harrowing forced marriage. We've encountered several rings functioning in this state, yet without any identification or declarations, she remains nothing more than a Jane Doe. Shrouded in mystery, we must bide our time until she stirs from her slumber. Time slipped away, each moment stretching into eternity. As the clock struck midnight, The emergency room teemed with a chaotic surge of patients, all victims of a devastating pileup just moments before. The hospital administrator beckoned Ethan into a secluded corner, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. "She's stable, yet the shadows of uncertainty loom over us, for we lack the resources to ensure her long-term observation." Ethan raised a brow, his gaze piercing as he recalled that you were the one who had brought her in. "Are you really implying that I should bring her along? We are utterly alone, stripped of family ties and identity, and yet she remains free, unshackled by the law. Your willingness to oversee her recovery, even for a brief period, would be a tremendous aid to us." Ethan paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. As he cast his gaze through the window, a world beyond beckoned to him. The woman lay motionless in the hospital bed, an IV drip feeding life into her veins, an oxygen tube resting beneath her nose, a silent witness to her struggle. The charred lace clung desperately to her collarbone, a haunting reminder of the flames that had danced so close. Her face, marred by bruises and weariness, ignited a flicker within him, a stirring of responsibility, perhaps even a connection that ran deeper than he could comprehend. "I'll take her," he declared, his voice steady and resolute. The next morning, Ethan navigated the winding roads, his heart racing as he drove her to his home, perched high on the cliffs of Pacific Heights. The sleek, glass-walled house perched on the edge of the world, its modern lines softened by the embrace of warmth, gazing out over the endless expanse of the ocean. It was never intended to be a place of solitude, yet ever since his wife passed away 4 years ago, an unsettling silence had settled in. Only the sound of Lily's laughter echoed through the desolate halls, bringing life to the vacant rooms. Lily stood frozen on the stairs, her heart pounding as she witnessed Ethan's strong frame hoisting the woman into the guest room, the air thick with tension and unspoken questions. Her wide eyes absorbed the sight of the tattered gown, the bandaged wounds, and the eerie stillness of this mysterious stranger in their home. "Could she be a princess?" Lily inquired gently. Ethan hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "What makes you say that?" With a swift motion, Lily's finger shot out, directing attention to something unseen. "She stands there in a sparkly dress, but the fabric is charred and tattered, as if she has just fled from the jaws of a dragon." A faint smile flickered across his lips. Perhaps she truly did. "I shall call her Princess Fire," Lily declared, her voice filled with awe, "for she has triumphed over the flames." Later that night, Ethan lingered in the shadows of the doorway to the guest room, his gaze fixed on her serene form as she slept, the quiet stillness wrapping around them like a shroud. She stirred, her brows knitting together in a tight frown. As she started to mutter, her breath came in shallow gasps. Desperation clawed at her throat as she whispered. Ethan hesitated at the threshold, his heart pounding as he contemplated whether to disturb her slumber. Then her voice soared, trembling and filled with dread. "The thought of returning to that house sends a chill down my spine. Please, I can't bear the thought of returning." Morning light seeped gently through the guest room curtains, weaving golden patterns across the pristine white sheets where she lay, lost in a world of dreams. Her eyelids fluttered like fragile wings before parting slowly, each breath a tremor as reality seeped back in. Not as a whole, but in disjointed fragments that danced in and out of focus. She found herself in a place shrouded in uncertainty, the surroundings unfamiliar and disorienting. She stood there, a stranger to herself, lost in the shadows of her own identity. The ceiling loomed above, strange and unrecognizable. The scent of lavender mingled with the briny tang of sea salt, wrapping around the senses like a comforting embrace. Her arms throbbed with a relentless ache. Faint bruises marred her wrists, whispering secrets of a struggle unseen. A surge of panic clawed at her chest. Suddenly the door creaked open, and a figure stepped inside. He lacked any semblance of menace. His eyes, though weary, held a warmth that spoke of kindness. He navigated the dimly lit room with caution, each step deliberate as he balanced a tray laden with steaming soup and fragrant tea. "Hey," he murmured softly, placing the tray down on the bedside table with care. "You are safe now. Welcome to my sanctuary." The world shattered around you as the impact of the crash sent shockwaves through your body. "I have discovered you. With a determined effort, she attempted to lift herself from the ground. Her body screamed in defiance, yet he tended to her with gentle, unwavering hands. "What is my true identity?" Her voice came out as a raspy whisper, barely audible, yet filled with urgency. He slowly shook his head, a gesture heavy with unspoken thoughts. "The memory still eludes you. All is well. Resist the urge to push it." Her gaze locked onto him, a deep search unfolding in her eyes. "Ethan," he replied, his voice steady yet laced with an unspoken weight. Ethan Grant stood at the edge of the world, a figure cloaked in shadows, his heart pounding with the weight of untold stories. The air crackled with tension, as if the very universe held its breath, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. Every step he took echoed with the promise of adventure, drawing him deeper into the unknown. "My daughter and I have been caring for you since." As darkness enveloped the world, the night unfolded its mysteries. With an almost magical pull, the door creaked open, revealing a little girl with curly hair, clutching a well-loved stuffed bunny tightly to her chest. "There she is," the girl gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. "That's the princess I spoke of," Ethan chuckled, a glint of mischief in his eyes. "Lily, do you recall our conversation?" Whispers floated through the air, each footfall a delicate echo in the stillness. Lily edged forward, her eyes wide with anticipation. "May I reveal to you the essence of your name?" The woman blinked, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Lily's smile radiated with warmth. The princess ignited a blaze of passion and power. Ethan arched an eyebrow, a flicker of intrigue dancing in his gaze. Lily stood at the edge of the world, her heart racing with anticipation. The winds whispered secrets only she could hear, urging her to take the first step into the unknown. Shadows danced around her, hinting at adventures yet to unfold. With a deep breath, she embraced the thrill of the journey ahead, ready to uncover the mysteries that awaited her. "You came from the fire and didn't vanish," Lily declared, her small voice carrying the weight of a profound truth only a child could grasp. To their astonishment, the woman erupted into laughter, a faint sound, sharp and wavering, yet undeniably present. A flicker of movement, a whisper of change, breaking through the suffocating grip of fear. Time slipped by in a hushed whisper, though her true name eluded her grasp. Fragments of memories began to surface, each one a whisper from a past shrouded in mystery. Brewing tea, the soothing rhythm of lullabies, the embrace of soft blankets. She steered clear of mirrors, recoiling at the slightest loud noise, and frequently jolted awake from nightmares that eluded her grasp, their details slipping away like shadows at dawn. Yet she was mending, piece by piece, with each passing moment. Ethan lingered close, yet never intruded. He allowed her to discover her own rhythm within the walls of the house, yet he ensured that she always felt an undeniable sense of belonging. Lily, in stark contrast, felt no hesitation whatsoever. With unwavering devotion, she surrendered herself to the allure of Princess Fire. They immersed themselves in vibrant colors, crafting masterpieces side by side, and constructed towering pillow forts that became their secret hideaways. With unwavering confidence, Lily wove her hand through the garden, whispering secrets that felt as though they had been shared for eternity. On a seemingly ordinary afternoon, as Ethan immersed himself in his work within the confines of his study, the three of them ventured out to the local grocery store, unaware of the twists that awaited them. It was Elena's first venture into the world beyond the confines of her memories, a journey shrouded in uncertainty, for she remained unaware of the name that belonged to her. The store buzzed with energy, its bright lights illuminating a sea of bustling shoppers. The air thrummed with the pulse of music, while carts glided by in an unending dance of movement. With a fierce grip on the cart's handle, her eyes flickered anxiously, scanning the surroundings. Lily ventured a few steps ahead, captivated by a vibrant display of stuffed animals that beckoned her closer. In that fleeting moment, the woman's focus wavered as she sifted through the colorful boxes of cereal, lost in the choices before her. Then she lifted her gaze. Lily had vanished into thin air. "Lily," she called, her voice trembling with tension. With a surge of adrenaline, she abandoned all and sprinted into the unknown. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, their harsh glow distorting into a haze, The aisles unfurled like a labyrinth, stretching into the unknown. Every shopper moved like a whirlwind, a blur of frantic energy and purpose. Her breath quickened, each inhale a desperate whisper in the stillness. Her voice rang out once more, echoing with urgency. "Lily?" As she rounded the corner, her heart raced at the sight of a man in a gray hoodie, hunched over a child, shrouded in an unsettling air of mystery. In an instant, a fierce crack echoed within her, shattering the calm facade she had maintained. She raced forward, her voice piercing the air, urging him to back off from her. Startled, the man glanced upward. In the bustling aisles of the store, a lone employee stood, a small tray of samples in hand, ready to entice unsuspecting shoppers with a taste of something extraordinary. Yet, she remained oblivious to it all. Hands gripped her tightly, pulling her into the shadows, while foreign voices echoed around her, their urgency laced with fear. In the distance, screams were stifled, trapped behind unyielding doors. She fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face as despair consumed her. Lily dashed forward, enveloping her in a tight embrace. Ethan burst onto the scene, his eyes wide with panic, a storm of urgency swirling within him. He sank to the floor beside her, enveloping them both in a desperate embrace. "It's okay," he whispered, gently tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "She has arrived. We're finally safe." The woman lifted her gaze to meet his, a flicker of something unspoken passing between them. Her face was a canvas of tears, each streak telling a story of sorrow. "I believed she was gone forever. I believed she was gone forever." As the thought swirled in my mind, a tempest of uncertainty began to brew. I stood at the edge of the precipice, the wind howling around me like a restless spirit. Below, the abyss yawned wide, a dark chasm that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. My heart raced, each beat echoing in my ears as I peered into the depths, where shadows danced and whispered secrets of the unknown. The air was thick with tension, electric with the promise of adventure and danger. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead, knowing that this moment would change everything. Ethan remained silent, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air. Yet, as his gaze lingered on her, a profound realization washed over him. Whoever she had been, whatever trials she had faced, this was more than mere memory loss. She had experienced the depths of true loss, a profound, heart-wrenching void. Now, a deep-seated terror gripped her, a fear of ever experiencing that agonizing pain once more. That night, as he gently tucked Lily into bed, her voice barely a whisper broke the silence. "Am I okay?" Ethan pressed his lips gently against her forehead, a tender gesture that spoke volumes in the stillness of the moment. "She's striving to become. Your impact is greater than you can imagine." In the dimly lit hallway, he stumbled upon her, an enigmatic figure seated by the window, her arms tightly encircling herself as if warding off the chill of solitude. He settled into the space beside her, the air thick with unspoken tension. "No matter the trials you faced, you need not walk the path ahead in solitude." Her gaze locked onto his, her voice a mere whisper, trembling with unspoken emotions. "Thank you for uncovering my presence, even when I was unaware of my own disorientation." Outside, the stars started to appear, gentle and unwavering, much like the flicker of hope in the darkness. The rain drummed relentlessly against the towering windows of the Pacific Heights estate, a rhythmic backdrop to the tension in the air. Ethan sat in his study, his brow furrowed as he meticulously examined the file the private investigator had just placed before him. A glass of untouched scotch lingered on the edge of his desk, droplets of condensation cascading onto a leather-bound journal, each drop a whisper of secrets waiting to be unveiled. As he turned the page, the gravity of the words he encountered bore down on him, tightening its grip around his chest. The dress, the charred remnants of the wedding gown that had once bound Alina in chains. Crafted with precision in the heart of Eastern Europe, it was procured from an exclusive boutique, renowned for serving only the most discerning of patrons. The name of the buyer was a mere illusion, a facade crafted to conceal the truth. Yet, the shipping records whispered secrets, guiding investigators to a warehouse in Nevada, a place already shrouded in the shadows of a covert federal probe. into suspected trafficking activities. The VIN number from the wrecked car, when unraveled, revealed a chilling connection to another phantom. A vehicle that existed only in shadows, its purchase shrouded in the enigmatic veil of cryptocurrency. A chilling realization loomed, casting a shadow over every thought and whispering a dreadful truth that could not be ignored. The woman he had welcomed into his home was far more than a mere casualty of senseless brutality. She was a victim, ensnared in a web of manipulation and betrayal, ultimately traded like a pawn in a dark game. Ethan shut the file with a decisive snap and leaned back in his chair, his jaw tight with tension. The investigator's final note reverberated in his mind, a haunting whisper that refused to fade away. A ring shrouded in mystery spans across nations. They peddle women, brides, to the highest bidders among the ultra-rich. Are you the elusive Jane Doe? She belongs to their ranks. With every ounce of strength, she sprinted forward, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. His gaze was fixed on the shut door of the guest room, a silent barrier that held secrets within. Elena, a shadow of her former self, had started to awaken from the depths of her forgotten past, revealing glimmers of healing within her fragile spirit. Lily had forged a bond with her, and in response, she had begun to embrace the warmth of Lily's affection. Laughter echoed around the dinner table, weaving a tapestry of cautious peace that enveloped them like a warm embrace of family. Yet this truth loomed ominously, casting a shadow over everything. In that pivotal moment, Ethan made a choice that would alter the course of his life forever. He kept the secret locked away, refusing to share it with her. Not just yet. It was only when the memories surged back, unbidden, that she truly understood. Not until he could shield her from the perilous price that memories might demand. 3 days later, the sky darkened ominously, heavy with the weight of an impending storm as evening approached. Thunder rumbled ominously across the vast expanse of the ocean. Elena lingered by the expansive kitchen window, her gaze lost in the horizon, fingers curled tightly around a steaming cup of tea. Her hair had transformed into a silken cascade, while the bruises that once marred her skin were slowly retreating into memory. Clad in a simple sweater and jeans, she embodied Lily's playful wisdom. Even princesses embraced the comfort of casual attire. Ethan moved closer to her, the air thick with unspoken tension. "Are you all right?" Her gaze remained averted, as if the weight of his presence was too much to bear. The relentless downpour, it stirs a memory within me, a realm. He lingered in the shadows, anticipation coiling tightly around. Her voice barely broke the silence, a soft whisper that danced through the air. There existed a house, not in this place, but in a realm far away, massive, surrounded by sentinels. A room sealed tight, its secrets hidden behind a door that would not budge. Her fingers curled fiercely around the mug, as if it were the only anchor in a stormy sea. The echoes of my screams still haunt me. Silence enveloped the space, heavy and suffocating. No footsteps echoed, no voices broke the stillness, no one came. Then, on an ordinary day, a stranger appeared. He whispered his name, Damien, as if it held a secret power, drawing me into the shadows of his world. Ethan's body tensed, a sudden wave of unease washing over him. Her voice fell to a whisper. He donned a sharp suit, his voice a soothing whisper, as he leaned in and told me I was extraordinary, that I would be the ideal bride, and then they adorned me. The dress shimmered under the dim light, its fabric whispering secrets of elegance and allure. Each fold and curve seemed to tell a story, beckoning the eye to linger, to explore the depths of its beauty. It was more than just a garment. It was a promise of enchantment, a gateway to a world where dreams danced and reality faded away. It wasn't my decision. They whispered it would be my final offering before I was claimed as someone's prize. She pivoted to confront him, her eyes brimming with terror. I was lost in uncertainty, shrouded in a fog of confusion, unaware of the identity that loomed just beyond my grasp. In that moment, an instinct surged within me, compelling me to flee. Somehow, I found my way out, but the details are a blur. Ethan released a slow, deliberate breath, the air escaping his lungs like a whisper of secrets untold. Do you recall the sound of your name echoing in the depths of your memory? With a moment of uncertainty, she drew in a breath and let her eyelids flutter shut. In the shadows of the night, a voice emerged, soft yet resolute. "Elena," it whispered. "My name is Elena." His fingers brushed against her shoulder, a soft yet electrifying connection that sent a shiver down her spine. "I appreciate you sharing that with me." That night, as the wind shrieked like a restless spirit and the rain pounded against the house with relentless fury, Ethan lay wide awake, his mind racing. He navigated the dimly lit hallways, his heart pounding as he scrutinized every window, every door, testing each lock with a sense of urgency. The investigator's file lay concealed within the depths of his safe, yet the burden of the knowledge swirling in his mind pressed down on him like a dark cloud. In the stillness of the night, just past the stroke of midnight, he caught sight of it. A sudden flicker of movement danced across the security feed, drawing the eye with an unsettling urgency. Suddenly, the backyard erupted into light as the motion sensor flickered to life. A shadow glided silently through the rain-soaked garden, cloaked in mystery. With a swift motion, Ethan retrieved the handgun from the lockbox near the front door, his heart pounding as he slipped into the shadows outside. The rain drenched his clothes in an instant, yet he pressed on with unwavering determination, his eyes piercing through the shadows. In the shadows by the hedges, a figure loomed, tall, broad, and cloaked in darkness, its gaze fixed intently, as if waiting for something to unfold. "Hey!" Ethan shouted, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. The figure spun around, eyes wide with shock. In an electrifying instant, their gazes locked, and then, like a startled deer, the man dashed away. Ethan sprinted after him, racing down the narrow path, across the sprawling lawn, and bursting through the gate. Mud erupted beneath his feet, while gnarled branches reached out like skeletal fingers snagging at his jacket. He teetered on the edge of disaster, but with a surge of determination, he pressed on. The man stepped to the brink of the shadowy wooded slope that loomed behind the house, then slipped into the enveloping darkness, leaving only silence in his wake. Ethan halted, his breath coming in sharp gasps, his heart pounding fiercely in his chest. He stormed back to the house, drenched and seething with rage. As he stepped back through the door, he found Elena poised in the foyer, her bare feet whispering against the floor, cradling Lily tenderly in her arms. "What transpired?" she asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Ethan locked his gaze with hers, a silent storm brewing between them. A presence lingered just beyond the threshold, eyes fixed intently on the scene, but now they have vanished into the shadows. Elena's arms enveloped Lily, a fierce grip that spoke of unspoken fears and unyielding resolve. "They discovered my hiding place." Ethan advanced, his damp hair plastered against his skin, a shadow of tension hanging in the air. "No, Elena, they won't take you again, not this time. I swear it." The days that followed the break-in were filled with an unsettling tension. Each night, Ethan meticulously scrutinized the alarm system, his handgun always within reach, a silent guardian in the shadows. Yet, it was Elena who transformed beyond recognition. Within her, a transformation had taken place, not born of fear, but forged from a newfound clarity. Memory surged back, a slow and agonizing tide, bringing with it a fierce sense of purpose. In the quiet of the morning, they gathered in the kitchen, where the sun poured its golden rays over the countertop, illuminating Lily as she lost herself in a world of colors, crayons dancing in her small hands. Ethan cradled his coffee, his gaze fixed on Elena, who seemed lost in thought, her eyes tracing the delicate tendrils of steam spiraling from her mug. "I remember everything," she said at last, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan lifted his gaze, the cup clinking softly as it met the table surface. "Reveal your secrets." "I was juggling 2 jobs in Romania," she began, her voice tinged with the weight of her struggles, barely scraping by. "It was then that I stumbled upon an enticing ad online, beckoning me to a nanny position in the enchanting landscapes of Switzerland. It beckoned with the allure of a visa, the comfort of housing, and the promise of good pay. I believe it was my escape route." She halted, her fingers quivering around the mug. "They whisked me away to Belgium, claiming it was merely a layover before the final paperwork. But the place I found myself in was no hotel. It was a fortress, devoid of windows and phones, with doors that locked from the outside. Ethan's jaw tightened, a storm brewing behind his eyes. They seized my passport, herding us like cattle, teaching us the art of walking, the facade of smiling, the necessity of obedience. Then they sold us to wealthy men throughout Europe, a mix of the aged and the youthful, yet each one possessed a heart of cruelty. A man named Alistair Voss claimed me as his own. He bears the title of Baron, a twisted sadist who revels in the thrill of absolute obedience. Ethan struggled to find his voice. What happens next, Damien? He commands the entire operation. He was the one who betrayed me to Alistair, insisting I should feel thankful, claiming that Alistair would ensure my survival far longer than others. As Alistair leaned in to seal our union, desperation surged through me. In a swift, frantic motion, I plunged the jagged shard of glass into his flesh and fled into the night, my heart pounding with the thrill of escape. I can't recall the journey that brought me to the US, but I can feel the weight of someone waiting in the shadows, their presence lingering just beyond my grasp. I stirred awake in that car, shackled and abandoned, the flames licking at the edges of my consciousness. Ethan felt a constricting pressure in his chest. You must find refuge in a safe house, shielded from the dangers that lurk outside. This is overwhelming. Perilous beyond measure. You and Lily. My heart aches for her, and the depth of my care for you has surprised me in ways I never imagined possible. Yet, I cannot find peace while knowing that countless other girls remain ensnared in that nightmare. Names linger in my mind, and the echoes of places haunt my memory. If I take the stand, we could dismantle it all, piece by piece. Ethan leaned in, his eyes narrowing with intent. In that moment, we unite, ready to face whatever lies ahead, side by side. We approach it with cunning, leaving no room for unexpected twists. He reached out to the FBI through discreet channels, sharing the scant intel they possessed, and thus, the wheels of justice began to turn as a case took shape. Weeks would stretch into months, as the intricate web of international coordination unfolded, each thread pulling tighter in the anticipation of the impending raid. Meanwhile, Elena would remain in the shadows. Yet Damien remained perpetually one step ahead. The drive to Lily's ballet class was meant to be uneventful, a simple journey through familiar streets. With Ethan gripping the wheel, Elena sat beside him, while Lily's gentle voice filled the air from the back seat, her stuffed rabbit cradled in her arms. The sky shimmered with a clarity that felt almost surreal, like a traffic light glowing in the stillness of the moment. It felt eerily familiar. Then, without warning, the SUV crashed into them from the side. Mel shrieked in agony. Shards of glass exploded into the air. The car careened off the road, plunging into the dark embrace of a ditch. Ethan's ears throbbed with a relentless, piercing sound. Crimson droplets cascaded down his temple, a stark reminder of the chaos that had just unfolded. He cast a glance over his shoulder. From the depths of the shadows, Lily's piercing scream echoed through the air. Suddenly, the doors burst open with a violent force. Two men, their faces obscured by black masks, wrenched at the handles, one of them leveling a gun directly at Ethan. As he lunged for the glove box, a sudden blow to his ribs sent shockwaves through his body, the gunman's weapon crashing against him with brutal force. Ethan tumbled to the ground, breathless and desperate for air. One of them shouted, urgency lacing their voice. "No!" Elena dove into the back seat, her arms encircling Lily in a fierce embrace. With the last remnants of his strength, Ethan unleashed a desperate kick, slamming the door shut on the second attacker's arm, a moment of fierce defiance in the chaos. The man let out a piercing howl that echoed through the night, a sound filled with raw emotion and desperation. Elena seized the opportunity, propelling Lily through the door on the other side, her voice erupting in a piercing scream. "Flee, darling. Flee to the shelter of the trees." Lily burst through the door, her heart racing as she sprinted into the shadowy embrace of the woods. One of the attackers surged forward, but Elena was relentless, her legs driving through the grass, fury eclipsing her fear. With a fierce determination, she lunged at the man, bringing him crashing to the ground. Her hands clawed at his mask, desperation fueling her strength as she drove her elbow into his face again and again, until he finally succumbed to the darkness of unconsciousness. Behind her, the tires let out a piercing screech, slicing through the tense air. With a surge of adrenaline, Ethan heaved himself into the driver's seat, slamming the SUV into gear and launching it forward, sending the other man sprawling in a chaotic flurry. With each labored breath, Alina held Lily tightly against her heart. Inside the house, they secured every door, dialed the FBI, and gathered tightly on the floor, hearts racing in the tense silence. Ethan gasped, his hand pressed tightly against his side, each breath a sharp reminder of his pain. Elena tended to his wound with a quiet intensity, her hands unwavering, yet her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I can't keep running," she gasped, pressing the gauze firmly against his ribs, her breath quickening with each passing moment. Ethan gave a solemn nod, the weight of unspoken thoughts hanging in the air around him. "And so, we bring it to a close." Alina locked eyes with him, a fierce spark igniting her voice once more. "I'm about to confront him. I will put an end to him. The time for shadows has passed. The time for waiting has come to an end." His fingers brushed against her cheek, a fleeting moment that sent shivers down her spine. "Together, we embark on this journey." As her fingers intertwined with his, a spark ignited between them, a connection that felt both electric and timeless. "I understand, but if I falter, swear to me that you'll keep her safe." Ethan's grip grew firmer, a surge of determination coursing through him. "Failure is not an option for you." And neither of them dared to look away. Deep within the hills, beyond Monterey, lay an estate, a hidden gem of luxury and vastness, its grandeur concealed behind towering walls and the watchful eyes of armed guards. On the surface, it appeared to be just another opulent getaway for a prosperous tycoon, yet within its walls lay a shimmering cage, ensnaring all who entered. Elena stood before the imposing oak doors, clad once more in the white dress Damien had once compelled her to wear. Her expression was serene, yet inside, her heart raced like a wild storm. This time, she stood resolute, no longer a pawn in someone else's game. Underneath her gown, a wire lay hidden, a minuscule transmitter intricately stitched into the fabric, just beside her collarbone. Ethan felt the weight of unseen eyes upon him, the FBI lurking in the shadows, their ears attuned to every whisper of his thoughts. She had chosen this path willingly. It was a choice that would change everything. Her quest. As the doors swung wide, Damien stood there, a figure cloaked in anticipation. His smile cut through the air, icy and meticulously crafted, while his suit clung to him like a second skin, flawlessly pressed, as if the world around him had stood still. "Oh, so it begins," he remarked, a glint of intrigue in his eyes. "The bride who fled has come back. I anticipated the marks of battle, not the cold gleam of metal." Elena remained silent, her thoughts swirling like a tempest within her. The weight of unspoken words hung heavy in the air, creating a palpable tension that seemed to stretch into eternity. With a gentle grip, he took her hand, guiding her into the grand hall where chandeliers shimmered like stars above, and the polished marble floor gleamed with an enchanting allure beneath her every step. Yet, lurking beneath the splendor, she caught a glimpse of it. Imprisonment loomed heavy in the air, with barred doors standing as silent sentinels, guards stationed like watchful hawks outside the bedrooms. In the dimly lit corridors, girls with lifeless eyes emerged from the shadows, their silence echoing the despair that filled the space. "Come," Damien beckoned, leading her into the secluded embrace of a private lounge. "A world of conversation awaits us. Your absence has exacted a heavy toll on me." She responded with a calm confidence, her words flowing effortlessly as if she had already anticipated the question. But now, clarity washes over me. I am fully aware of my true nature. I'm prepared to surrender myself to you completely." Damien narrowed his eyes, a storm of doubt brewing within him as he assessed the depth of her sincerity. Words flow effortlessly. "Trust in Elena. Embrace the sacrifice." Her smile flickered like a distant star, barely illuminating the shadows around her. Then challenge me. The moment had arrived. Outside, shrouded in shadows and concealed within the confines of vans and the thick foliage of trees, the agents stirred with purpose. Ethan, clad in tactical black, signaled the start. With a surge of adrenaline, the team exploded through the gates, dispatching the front guards with a deadly silence that echoed in the night. Within the confines of those walls, pandemonium broke loose. Elena seized the fire extinguisher, her heart racing, and with a fierce determination, she brought it crashing down on the lock of the nearest bedroom door. "Go," she urged, her voice barely a breath, as the terrified girls huddled together, eyes wide with fear. "Assistance has arrived." She sprinted into the next room, then the one after, her voice cutting through the blaring alarms. "You are free at last. Go." The sharp crack of gunshots echoed through the air. Downstairs, Ethan raced through the dimly lit hallway, weaving behind the sturdy pillars as the deafening gunfire erupted from Damien's men. With a sudden burst of aggression, one of the goons charged at him, brandishing a glinting knife. With a fierce shove, Ethan drove him against the wall, swiftly disarming him. In one fluid motion, he seized the weapon and sliced through the zip ties binding two chained girls in the dimly lit cellar. "Step outside," he implored, his voice laced with urgency. "Chase the flickering glow." Another round of shots echoed through the air. A cacophony of screams echoed through the darkness. In the dimly lit upstairs corridor, Damien seized Elena's wrist, pulling her forcefully into the shadows behind him. "You believe I was unready for treachery," he spat, his voice low and dangerous. "You are merely a possession, a thing to be owned." With a sudden twist, she broke free, her fist connecting with his face in a sharp, electrifying strike. He staggered backward, rage boiling within him. "That was for each girl you imprisoned," she declared. With a swift motion, he drew a gun from the depths of his jacket, aiming it squarely at her chest. "One misstep, my dear," and she halted, her breath caught in her throat. As Ethan rounded the corner, the echo of Damien's gunshot shattered the silence, a moment frozen in time. With a heart pounding in his chest, he plunged into the depths, fearlessly embracing the unknown. The gunshot erupted, a deafening crack that shattered the silence like a bolt of lightning. Ethan crashed to the ground, the searing pain of the bullet tearing through his side, igniting a firestorm of agony within him. "Absolutely not!" Elena's scream pierced the air as she rushed forward, catching him just as he crumpled into her embrace. Damien raised the gun once more, but it was already too late. FBI agents burst into the hall, a whirlwind of determination and urgency. They tackled him to the ground, grappling fiercely for the weapon as he unleashed a torrent of obscenities, his voice swallowed by the cacophony of rushing footsteps and commanding shouts echoing around them. Elena held Ethan's head in her hands, her tears cascading down her cheeks like a torrential rain. Crimson droplets marred the delicate lace of her dress, a haunting testament to the chaos that had just unfolded. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice trembling with urgency. "Keep your eyes wide open. You can't leave me like this," he rasped, pain etched across his face as he fought to muster a smile. "Does that dress still captivate you more than it did the last time?" She wept, her forehead pressed against his, the weight of her sorrow palpable in the air around them. What drives this question? What lies beneath the surface of that single word, echoing with curiosity and uncertainty? Why? The air thickens with anticipation, as if the answer holds the key to a deeper understanding, a revelation waiting to unfold. She inquired, her voice laced with curiosity. "What compels you to stand in front of danger for my sake?" Ethan's voice trembled, a whisper on the edge of silence. "For you are the first spark of hope that has ignited my dreams in what feels like an eternity. Please," she pleaded, her voice trembling with desperation. "Death is not an option for you. You are the very first dream I've ever summoned the courage to embrace." He shut his eyes, plunging into darkness. "Ethan!" she screamed, her voice piercing through the chaos. But in the distance, the sirens howled like a mournful beast. Medics surged in, their hands reaching out to pull her away with a tender urgency. Oxygen masks were fitted over her face, pressure bandages wrapped around her wounds, and the air was filled with the cacophony of shouting voices, each one a lifeline in the chaos. He clung to life, each breath a fragile whisper, but he was still here, still fighting. As Damien was pulled away in handcuffs, battered and broken, Elena lingered in the corridor of what had once been her cell, shaking with a mix of fear and resolve. Amidst the chaos, girls wept, clinging to each other, stepping into the blinding light for the first time, and for Elena, the nightmare was finally beginning to unravel. Yet her heart remained tethered to a single, delicate and haunting question. Would Ethan make it out alive? The sharp, sterile scent of antiseptic invaded Ethan's senses, a cold reminder of his surroundings, before he even dared to open his eyes. His body throbbed with an intensity he couldn't quite articulate. Each breath seared its way through the flames, a relentless reminder of the heat that engulfed me. The soft beeping of machines surrounded him, creating an eerie symphony in the dimly lit room. He was alive, yet it felt as though he had just emerged from an endless slumber. The world around him, a blur of forgotten dreams and haunting echoes. As his vision sharpened, it settled on her. Elena. She perched on the edge of his hospital bed, her fingers entwined with his, a lifeline in the sterile room. Her eyes glistened with a fiery red rim, her face a ghostly pale, yet a smile broke through the shadows as she caught sight of him stirring. "You're awake," she breathed, her voice trembling with raw emotion. Ethan's eyes widened, a battle raging within him as he fought to find his voice. "You remain." Without hesitation, she leaned in closer, her fingers gently tucking a stray lock of hair away from his forehead. "You pulled me back from the edge. You were our savior." He conjured a fleeting smile, barely there, like a whisper of a memory long forgotten. "Have we captured him?" She nodded, tears cascading down her cheeks like silent whispers of sorrow. Damien finds himself behind bars, the weight of his situation pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. They all are too. The FBI crossed borders, their presence looming like a shadow in the night. A multitude of girls found their way to freedom. All that remains is emptiness. The entire ring has vanished. He shut his eyes, a tide of relief crashing over him, enveloping him in its soothing embrace. "Thank the heavens," they whispered, "that none of it would have unfolded without your presence, or the weight of your words." Ethan slowly turned his head, his gaze locking onto hers, with an intensity that seemed to suspend time. "And what about you?" "I'm under protection now," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and relief. A new identity awaited, cloaked in the promise of full immunity and the freedom to traverse borders without restraint. A new beginning awaits me. In any place you can imagine. He struggled to sit up, a sharp wince escaping his lips. "You could remain here, with me, with us." Elena's hand dove into her bag, a glimmer of mischief dancing in her eyes, even as tears traced down her cheeks. "I was hoping you'd say that," she murmured, her voice barely above a whisper, laced with anticipation. From the depths of a cluttered folder filled with hospital paperwork, she unearthed a delicate loop, intricately crafted from twisted strips of paper. It was a delicate shade of white, almost ethereal, and in that moment, Ethan found himself lost in confusion. With a delicate yet deliberate motion, she slid it over his finger. "A chain made of paper?" he inquired, a look of bewilderment crossing his face. Her eyes glimmered with an enchanting light. It was a proposal, and he blinked in disbelief. "Are you really asking me to marry you?" "Indeed." Her smile broadened, radiating warmth and joy. "You shattered the bonds that held me captive. Now, I offer this to you freely, with no reservations. In this moment, I declare my choice. It's not out of desperation for rescue, but from a deep desire to journey through life by your side." Ethan's laughter echoed with a sharp edge of pain, causing him to wince as the sound faded into the tense air. "It feels so unjust. At this moment, I find myself unable to bend down and surpass that challenge." "You'll get your chance," she murmured, her lips grazing his forehead like a fleeting promise. "But for now, all you need to do is say yes." "Yes," he murmured, his eyes brimming with a depth that transcended mere gratitude. A resounding, fervent yes, echoing through the air like a battle cry. 2 weeks later, Ethan returned home, the air thick with the sound of laughter dancing through the halls. He lingered in the entryway, propped against his cane, the remnants of his healing journey evident in his posture. Yet an undeniable strength surged within his heart. In the dim light of the living room, Lily nestled into Elena's lap, their bodies cocooned in a soft blanket, as they lost themselves in the enchanting world of fairy tales. As soon as they caught sight of him, Lily leaped to her feet, racing toward him with her arms wide open, a beacon of joy in the midst of uncertainty. "Daddy?" she squealed, her voice ringing with excitement. "You've returned." With a mix of strain and joy, he lifted her into his arms, a grimace crossing his face, yet laughter bubbled up, filling the air with warmth. "Hey, Dynamite." Elena stood frozen, her heart pounding as she watched them, tears glistening in her eyes. Lily pivoted, her gaze locking onto hers. "Mommy, please, come here." It was the moment she had finally uttered those words. Elena stood motionless, her hand pressed against her racing heart. As she approached, Ethan reached out, drawing her into a warm, enveloping embrace. Home pulsed with a new energy, an unfamiliar sensation that wrapped around me like a shroud. Secure, complete, authentic. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold, Elena stood beside Ethan on their terrace, their hands intertwined, a silent promise lingering in the air. The wind whispered softly. The sea lay tranquil, and for the first time, no shadows haunted their gaze. Ethan fixed his gaze on her, a hint of curiosity dancing in his eyes. "So, any plans for the honeymoon?" he asked, his voice laced with anticipation. Her smile widened, a glimmer of mischief dancing in her eyes. "Anywhere. As long as it's not confined within a trunk, bound to a steering wheel, lost in the shadows of despair." He let out a hearty laugh, shaking his head in disbelief. "Your brilliance is unmatched. I'm alive," she whispered, her voice a blend of strength and vulnerability. "And I'm loved." They stood at the edge of the world, gazing into the vast expanse where the sky kissed the earth, two souls bound by a shared history of anguish that words could never capture. Yet, in that moment, they were illuminated by a force that felt eternal, a bond forged in the fires of their past. Unyielding and resolute, passion ignites, liberation beckons, and destiny offers a new beginning. The sky above the California coastline ignited with the soft blush of sunset, casting a spell over the ocean in warm hues of coral and lavender, as if the world held its breath in awe of the beauty unfolding. A soft breeze danced through the swaying palms, weaving a tapestry of saltwater and wildflower scents that enveloped the air. White chairs stood in perfect formation along the beach, each one gazing toward a modest arch, intricately woven with driftwood and delicate pale roses, framed by the vast, unending sea. Guests whispered in wonder, as the gentle melodies of the acoustic guitar wove through the atmosphere, yet none were as captivated as Ethan, who held his breath in anticipation. He stood at the altar, the sun casting a golden hue over his crisp white linen shirt and navy slacks, his bare feet sinking into the warm sand beneath him. The wind danced through his hair, and in his grasp, he clutched a ring, a token of a bond that no flame could ever consume. With a radiant smile illuminating her face, Lily strode confidently in front of the bride, scattering delicate pink rose petals from her charming woven basket, each petal a whisper of joy in the air. Adorned with a delicate flower crown, her laughter danced through the air, enchanting every heart that dared to listen. With a quick glance over her shoulder to ensure all eyes were on her, she beamed a gap-toothed smile at Ethan, then bounded the last few steps to his side with an infectious energy. Suddenly the crowd surged to their feet, a wave of energy pulsing through the air. Elena emerged at the crest of the narrow sandy trail, glowing with an ethereal brilliance under the warm embrace of the golden light. She donned a simple, yet striking white gown, devoid of embellishments, sequins, or jewels. The soft flowing fabric danced with the wind, embodying the very essence of freedom. With a single pearl pin securing her hair, she stood barefoot, her gaze locked onto Ethan's with an intensity that seemed to electrify the air between them. With every step she took, the echoes of her past began to fade into nothingness. Her face was a canvas of tranquility, unmarked by fear, unburdened by chains. Only peace radiated from her, a profound love that enveloped all around her. As she approached him, Ethan extended his arms, enveloping her hands in his grasp. "You're real," he breathed, his voice barely above a whisper. "I always was," she said, a smile dancing on her lips. "But now I finally get to live like it." The efficient, a longtime friend of Ethan's from their college adventures, stepped forward to commence the brief yet poignant ceremony. His voice resonated with a tranquil sincerity, imbued with a deep reverence for the extraordinary journey that had led these two souls to this moment. He spoke of survival, of healing, and of a love that defied the urge to flee, choosing instead to endure in the face of adversity. Ethan's gaze shifted to Elena, a storm of emotions swirling in his eyes. "I vow to never be your savior," he declared, his voice steady and unwavering. "But I will be your partner, your equal, your eternal sanctuary." Elena's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, reflecting the weight of her emotions. "I vow to never flee from love again," she declared, her voice steady and resolute. "And I pledge to choose you each day, embracing the freedom I have battled so fiercely for." As the officiant's voice echoed through the air, declaring them husband and wife, a wave of exhilaration surged through the crowd. Guests leaped to their feet, their cheers ringing out like a triumphant chorus. In that electric moment, Ethan cradled Elena's face in his hands, leaning in for a kiss that was more than just a gesture. It was a profound exchange of gratitude, hope, and the weight of unspoken promises, forged in the flames of their journey, and emerging unscathed. That night, under a canopy of shimmering stars, the celebration unfolded with a hushed, intimate magic. The air was alive with laughter, the gentle notes of music weaving through the night, as couples twirled and swayed beneath the shimmering string lights, their glow flickering like stars in the embrace of the ocean breeze. With a burst of energy, Lily took the lead in the first dance, drawing Ethan and Elena into a whirlwind of laughter and spinning joy on the warm sand. Her parents, caught in the infectious spirit, stumbled in their attempts to keep up with her lively rhythm. As twilight descended and the beach lay quiet, with only a few stragglers lingering, the three of them stood united, their paper lanterns casting flickering shadows in the dimming light. Ethan ignited the flame for Lily's first. "Make a wish," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the stillness of the night. With her eyes shut tight, Lily murmured a secret to the wind, then let the lantern slip from her grasp, watching it ascend into the night. It ascended into the night sky, radiating a soft luminescence reminiscent of a miniature moon. Elena ignited hers next, the flame flickering to life with a soft glow. She clutched it tightly, her fingers trembling, before finally letting it slip from her grasp. With a swift motion, she pivoted towards Ethan, her fingers intertwining with his in a moment charged with unspoken promise. "This is the life I chose," she murmured, her gaze drifting from him to Lily, who clung tightly to her side. "I have broken free from my shackles. I have broken free from the chains of ownership, no longer a girl ensnared in a haunting dream. This is my choice. In a world filled with choices, I embrace love as my guiding light. I embrace life, and I embrace this family." Ethan remained silent, his gaze heavy with unspoken thoughts. He enveloped them in his embrace, their warmth mingling as the lanterns ascended, climbing higher into the night. The sky transformed into a tapestry of glowing orbs, each one a beacon of prayers, dreams, and souls finding their way home at last. The waves murmured secrets to the shore, the stars blazed with an otherworldly glow, and a thrilling new chapter unfolded. As the last lantern vanished into the inky darkness above, a serene calm enveloped the shore, marking not just an end, but the dawn of something new. From the depths of despair to the heights of victory, from the remnants of destruction to the promises of a new beginning, this was more than just the tale of Elena and Ethan. It unfolded as a tale of transformation, where bravery triumphed and the heart's choice for love eclipsed the shadows of fear. In the depths of despair, a flicker of hope emerged, a beacon hidden in the shadows, waiting to be discovered in the most unlikely of corners. We are grateful for your presence on this remarkable adventure. If this tale resonated with your heart, ignited your spirit, or unveiled the splendor of second chances, we invite you to join soul-stirring stories. Each week, we deliver compelling narratives of love, resilience, and hope that will captivate your imagination. Join us now and immerse yourself in a community that understands the transformative magic of storytelling, where tales have the power to heal wounds, elevate spirits, and forge unbreakable bonds among us all. Until we meet again, hold on to kindness, nurture hope, and keep the faith in the magic of happy endings.